It's been a while since we've done this. Welcome to episode 32 of PuckPod by BD Sports. Um, I'm not gonna ask you guys how your week was in terms of like how it was in lifestyle. How has your morning been? That's a better question.
My morning, it's been pretty good. I woke up
Oh,
earlier than
morning,
my.
like morning the death.
Oh,
Oh
oh, that's
God. Oh
that hurt.
man.
That hurts, Brian.
Oh, my morning. Yeah, the morning process. I don't know how many stages are there to that one. I don't know if I'm at the acceptance phase yet. I honestly don't think I am. We did some grieving. Then there was some anger. Maybe I'm
Lots of anger.
slowly. Yeah. Then there was alcohol
Yeah,
coping mechanism. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm starting to get into the acceptance phase, but not really. As soon as we start talking about it today, I'll be right back
I'm
at
still in the
the
denial
yelling
phase.
stage.
I'll be
Yes,
honest with you. That's where I'm
that's
at.
probably the
Because
stage. Yeah.
it there's two things that you guys can be like suffering from right now. The loss of management or like the death of your playoff run. I don't know which I don't know which is worse right now.
I Why not both, man? Because I think the
Yeah,
answer is definitely both.
That's
I think
true.
so.
They're
Oh
not mutually
man,
exclusive.
just like it's so like you got to think about it like as a Leaf fan, Brian. 3 weeks ago, we were the happiest that we have probably been in our lives watching the Leafs, like ever, right? And 3 weeks later, the whole franchise seemingly imploded right before our eyes. Like I literally can't even fathom. You know the line from The Office. Office, it's like, how do you know when you're in the good old days? It's like, or whatever that line is, like, god damn, just take me back, like just that pure jubilation when that puck went in the net from JT's goal. I have to say my deepest fears are like, they're they're manifesting right now. Like, I think that might be the last time we see this team do anything of relevance for like 5 to 10 years again. Like,
Well,
So Dave,
oh,
does that make us cherish that moment more, or does that taint the memory of it? I don't know. I don't know yet. Because sometimes I see the picture of JT and I get such mixed feelings because I'm
yeah,
like, take me back, but also, are we ever gonna be back? Right?
yeah.
It's oh,
I
the
oh
think
saddest
man.
thing
I
I've
think
ever heard in my life.
we should be back. I think
Yeah, we're talking about round one.
optimistically, we should be back, right? But you can't look
Yes.
at this Leaf franchise, not even for the past, what is it, 8 years of this era, not even the past 20 years of our lives, or the past 60 years since our last cup win, and tell me that this franchise isn't doomed to do another 10 years of like solitary confinement at the bottom of the
I do have a
NHL.
surprise for you both.
Okay.
I at the end, but
Okay.
Okay.
We'll say that to the end then.
well, we'll move into our next topic. Okay, let's go with the West
We
first. How do
we
you
will be
guys?
back to this topic, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes,
This is
yes.
not, yeah, yeah. We will. That was just a little sneak peek.
Okay, let's move into the first topic of the night or the morning, the Western Conference Series. We have Dallas, Vegas. Vegas currently up 2-0, two overtime wins. What do you guys think so far?
I kind of just want to see every single series end in a sweep, to be honest. I think that would be really fun. And not only in the NHL, but in the NBA. Yeah, that would be cool. Now, listen, they are just like, they're an animal, man. They're just rolling right now. And it's some guys that we were waiting for to not erupt, but put their mark on series like they had in the past. Game two, Chandler Stevenson with the overtime winner. I feel like I haven't been hearing about him too much in this playoff run, and he gets on the board. He gets the winner for the Golden Knights. I don't even know if it's. You can't even say the Stars have been playing bad. You can say the same thing about the Hurricanes. Every single game has gone to overtime. It is really just a not luck of the draw, because you do have to score the overtime winning goal, but it is a margin of centimeters. And right now, yeah, Vegas has got the 2-0 lead. I don't know if Dallas can even crawl back into this now. I don't know. It's going to be really tough.
So
uh,
for me, I'm not. I know what you mean. It's like the series are literally 51-49. They can every
Yeah.
game is 50, and that goes for both series.
And you look at the results, they're not 51-49 though, right? You can't slice this a 7 game series 51-49.
Definitely not. But what I will also say is that Vegas look really, really good, and in a sense, so does Dallas. I think that for Dallas to come back, which I really want them to do, Jake the Otter has to just steal a game steal another game, and
Which
eventually
he's
they're
totally capable of still, even in a
100%.
2-0 hole.
And
Yeah.
he's not playing bad at all. Something I did want to point out is Robertson's getting hot. And Hintz might be the hottest player in the league right now. And they just gotta ride that.
Is
How
he
about
So
you?
Conn Smythe? Is Rupe Hintz Conn Smythe, or is it Kachuk right now? If
They need
you had to
uh,
handicap their favorite,
Rupe
so
Hintz is the league leader right now for playoff points. So
he is. Yeah,
Hintz needs to
mm,
win for
that's
for the
true. What am I?
Conn Smythe.
Yeah,
Kachuk
yeah.
needs to win. I think that regardless, like both have an argument, but they need to win the cup with the Conn Smythe for
Do you
me.
guys know who the next two players are? Point leaders. Like, basically, who is the point leader that doesn't play for Florida or Dallas? Or no, sorry, not no. Yeah, because Florida's up 2-0. Never mind. I was gonna say Jack Eichel and Mark Stone are at 15 points, so they're kind of in this as well. Like they can, if Vegas does go through, they're probably gonna ratchet up to maybe being the favorite. Conn Smythe, Jack Eichel. I'd be interested in that, to be honest. Yeah.
He definitely has an argument.
gonna get
He
one before
definitely
McDavid.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
That's juicy.
yikes!
That's juicy.
That's
we
a
didn't even
big
talk
yikes.
about we didn't even get a chance to go over the fact that Eichel has 1-0, like is on 1-0 in the playoff series against McDavid, but
Dude,
that's a
McDavid could
story for
put
another
up.
time.
McDavid has been putting up like historic numbers, and his number two's got the edge on him. Like that was probably one of the more anticipated matchups, right? From the second round, just because it was like, we probably weren't ever gonna get to see McDavid and Eichel in a playoff series, especially with Buffalo being as garbage as they were for so many years with Eichel. So to see Jack move over to the Pacific Conference, or sorry, Pacific Division, I mean, like, you know what? It brought really good entertainment, I have to say. One person I do want to shout out is Aiden Hill, who's the fourth stringer right now for Vegas, and he's putting on a lights out performance. Like, I can't even like understand who are the guys in front of him. Logan Thompson.
Johnny
Uh
Quick.
that's right. I forgot he was there. Oh my god.
If Vegas gets Quick a cup,
They're
does he
almost
even like what does he do? I don't even know. Well
It
actually
was
no,
the
he would
same
shove
thing
it
in
down the
like
King's throat.
Flurry, right? If Flurry got
Yeah.
that cup, like, whew, man, it could be Vegas, man. I don't know, but John's not coming in, basically, right?
No, no.
Yeah, unless Aiden Hill literally capitulates at any point, like next game, basically. I don't think John Quick sees the light of day on the ice. Um, man, it's kind of crazy because it's not even the first time that Vegas has went through multiple goalies, like during a regular season and B a playoff run. I believe their first year on their way to the Cup Finals, they used like 5 or 6, like started 5 or 6 separate goalies, which is
Malcolm Subban. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Oscar Dansk, the high schooler or fresh out of high
God,
school, something
yes.
like that, right?
I was at the
Uh
first Leaf versus Vegas game in Toronto, and it was Oscar Dansk in net.
oh
And it was
man,
just like that was like their sixth goalie on the season. They had to call up a guy. I'm pretty sure they drafted that year. It was
that's
nuts that
crazy.
season, bro.
That's
So
insane.
so going back to Vegas, they are obviously the brand new team. How lucky are these fans? Like,
Oh
could
my
you
god.
imagine? Like, you've been a
They
fan for
probably
like,
don't even know. They don't know what it feels like to be. Well, I mean, they did miss the playoffs last year, but
oh, they're spoiled though.
they are spoiled. They are spoiled. I'm sure they're cherishing it though. I think they do know that they've come close before, right? That's what they have the knowledge of. They know what it feels like to get to the mountaintop and then tumble all the way back down,
Like,
right?
if a team like Montreal or Vancouver had the success of Las Vegas the past 7 years, we wouldn't hear the
The
end of it.
story of
Oh
the
my
league.
God.
Yeah.
I
So just on the Aiden Hill and Brossoit switch, right? That's been made. So Brossoit played in 8 games. He had a 5-2 record because I think it was pulled from one of them, right? So 5-2 in 8 games. Do you know what his save percentage was?
I'm gonna say 905.
Eight
Say
nine
nine.
four.
Oh, I was gonna go 920 or something. I thought he was
That's
like,
what you would think, right?
yeah,
So he was 5-2 with an 894 save percentage. Aiden Hill in 7 games, 5-1 because he's made 5 starts, 5-1 with a 930 save percentage. So
yeah,
Vegas has played fire wagon hockey. They've also played incredibly defensive hockey, and they've been winning in each scenario. So that's really interesting. These two
I,
goalies have crazily different stats, but the records are very similar and they're good.
this
I
this
think,
team.
sorry.
Oh, you can go. You can go.
I think one of the underrated themes of this playoff run, especially maybe more so this year than any other year, is if your goalie gets hot, at any time during your playoff run, you have the as good a chance as anybody to win. Like it could legitimately be anybody. You look at Carolina, would you rest your playoff hopes on either Antti Ranta or Freddie Anderson? Coming from a Leaf fan, I saw Freddie Anderson at his best. I think this version of Freddie Anderson might not be peak Freddie Anderson, but he's stepping up when he needs to be, right? Same thing with Antti Ranta and his injury history. You look at Sergei Bobrovsky on the other end. If you told me at the beginning of this year that Sergei Bobrovsky might win a Conn Smythe and Florida would win a Stanley Cup or might win a Stanley Cup or would win, whatever, I would look at you, laugh in your face, and I don't even know. I would just walk away. I'd be like, that is I've heard stupid takes before. That is probably the stupidest. You look at Vegas, who's got their fourth string goalie, who, like Christian said, is playing like prime Carey Price right now. A 930 save percentage in, what is it, 7 games, 8 games?
Yeah.
The only one that's kind of like falling by the wayside is the one that we all thought would
The best.
legitimately win like a Conn Smythe trophy if they were going to win a cup in Jake Ottinger, right? So, you know what? We could try to analyze the NHL as much as we want. We legitimately don't know shit. I'm convinced we actually know nothing about this sport.
Okay. Uh, so this goes for all 4 teams, but between Dallas and Vegas, I think both teams do deserve it, like the whole title, like the Stanley Cup as a whole. I'm impartial to whoever wins. I actually, you know what? I want Dallas to win just a little bit more. But I do think Vegas will take it just based off the 2-0 series lead. Who do you guys have? And who would you prefer?
I'm trying to come back to who I would have thought would win it when it was 0-0 before the series started. I do think I would have given a slight edge to Vegas, but I would have said 6 or 7 games. It can still be 6 or 7 games, but it could be 5 now. And honestly, I'll take Vegas in 6 because I want to see a good series. Dallas just might have dug themselves in a hole too early to come out of. But yeah, Vegas in 6 for me.
So my answer is going to be the same because I know you're going to ask it for the next one as well, Bri, because they're in the same spot for both both series, right? The winner of the next game will move on to the Stanley Cup. If you go 3-0 down, I mean that's the death sentence right there, right, Christian? We know all about the death sentence of a 3-0 3-0 hole. But if you put a shadow of a doubt in that other team's mind and make it 2-1, I think that is all that you need to get through, to break through and win that series. Take, what would it be, 4 of the next 5 games, right? So I think, so that's going to be my thing. I would like to see Dallas go through though. Not that I have anything against Vegas, because I think it would be a cool story either way, but I like the players on Dallas a little bit more. I think that they're just a nicely structured team. They play like some pretty nice hockey as well. So I'm gonna say Dallas, but I think whoever wins the next game is going on to the Cup final.
Okay.
One quick thing
answer.
on Dallas I just thought of, because we're talking about how much we like Dallas. We prefer Dallas. They're a very likable team, just their players in general. Who's the villain on Dallas? Is it Jamie Benn? Like, is that their biggest villain?
Or
right?
Tyler Seguin.
And I can't even call Sagan a villain. I could call Ben a villain just because like he can hack a guy, right? He can absolutely just ram a guy into the boards, that type of stuff. But very likable team. They're not
but
dirty
you know
or anything
what?
like that.
Do you want likable guys in a playoff war, or do you want guys like Pietrangelo who, will go out of their way to potentially injure like one of the best players in the National Hockey League and like Leon Draisaitl? Like, I'm not gonna defend Pietrangelo for what he did, because like that's a like blatant stick to like.
If you did
I
that
mean, that was a
in like
chop.
if you did that to someone in like in their
In real
society,
life?
you'd probably be
Yeah,
in
yeah.
jail.
That's potential. That's what's that aggravated like assault or something like that.
Yeah.
Something.
This
You know
this
what I
is so
mean?
true, eh? We didn't even think about like if that happens in a beer league game,
Oh yeah, they're
you
kicked
get more
out.
games than Alex Pietrangelo,
Yeah.
the
Yes.
NHL player. That's absurd. Okay, but
You
anyways,
if you
yeah,
do that in a men's league game, you are like
yeah,
banned from the
suspended
arena.
automatically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
they have your picture out like up in like the back room.
wanted.
But so to that point, if the NHL sets that precedent where you could be as as heinous as you could possibly be without crossing that next line, literally apart from manslaughter on the ice, do you want likable guys or do you want guys with that snarl? Because watching the Leafs in round 2 against Florida, and I know it's been said for years, but they kind of brought some snarl against Tampa. And I know it's going to be about the Leafs again. Sorry guys, but whatever. It's that's who it always is about. But against Florida, they seem to like go back to their old habits, right? So I'm just pondering that question. Do you want the likable guys or do you want guys that toe that line basically?
It's so weird because even going to Florida and connection between Florida and Tampa. So last year, Tampa rolls over Florida in the second round 4-0. And I think it was the not the bubble season where we had the qualifying rounds, but the Canadian division, those divisions, that season. Didn't we also have Tampa versus Florida? And that was like an all-out war. Like Florida was just like out looking for murder.
That
They
was
also
their
lost that
first
series.
was that not their
Yeah,
first playoff like appearance in like since they lost to the Isles? Was that not
might
or
have
like
been.
2014, right?
Could have
So
Yeah.
been. Yeah,
they had something to
yeah.
prove. But I don't know, man. Like
I do think we could just say that Tampa also was looking for murder, and so they just were a better team, also doing the same things as Florida. And maybe last year the Florida
So
excuse would be that they were just too skill and not enough physicality, and now they found the balance. So yeah,
you know what, Dave? I'm gonna say that the question that you're posing depends on the team itself. I mean, it doesn't make a difference to me. I like good hockey. I like to see a battle, but you can watch a battle without having the antics and the villainous behavior, right?
yeah.
Like, but at the end of the day, both work in the sense that it's both entertaining. Let's go to another series that is bringing that physicality as well. The Eastern Conference Final in Carolina Hurricanes and Florida Panthers. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I thought Carolina would probably be up 2-0 right now, not down 2-0. I'm okay with Florida winning. I prefer Florida as a team. I just like them more than the Hurricanes. But I for this series, it's been interesting because both teams want to bring the pace, and this series doesn't reflect how the series is gone. Like I said, 41-40, 51-49. It
Yeah.
just happens to be edging in the way of the Panthers right now.
Well,
it just really feels like Florida is like not. I don't know if it's Team of Destiny. Team of Destiny feels like they're just against all odds. Stuff is happening for them. They are like doing stuff. They are making stuff happen by their own will to their credit. It's not just pure luck. But I don't know how you'd even. I do say like if you're in a two hole, there's no one that you'd want to be trying to motivate your team than Rod Brindamore, right? That's the guy who can get a team out of a two hole if there is one. But once like I don't really have the faith that Carolina is going to come out of this two hole saying all that. It feels like Florida just they know the opportunity they have. They can taste the blood. They know how close they are. And you're going back to Florida. That's the difference between these two series. Vegas went up 2-0 at home. Florida's gone up 2-0 on the road. I think it could be like 4 or 5 games, honestly, for Florida.
You bring up the word destiny. I saw a Matthew Chuck interview the other day. Well, actually last night when I was like procrastinating, not doing foreign stuff. Right, regardless. So basically, I don't remember who it was. It was a female interviewer. She posed a great question. You're in the running for the MVP. You're in the running for the Conn Smythe, and you're in the conference final. Is this the dream childhood? Like, did you dream of having this as a kid? And he gave a perfect answer.
You get
not
rid of all that and win the Stanley Cup. Is that what he said or what?
he said not quite, but we're almost there. And I think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
a
that's a good
perfect
answer. That's a
answer.
Job
really
not
good
done,
answer.
basically.
Yes, because
Yeah.
it's true. He's job's not done for the Conn Smythe. Job's not done for obviously the Stanley Cup, and job's probably not going to happen for the MVP. But regardless, it just makes you think like that is destiny, right? Everything's lining up for this one guy. He's even putting in the important goals home.
You want to talk about poetry? What if he ends up a runner-up for every single thing? Runner-up for MVP, which we think. Runner-up for Conn Smythe, that could totally happen, and runner-up for the Stanley Cup. I'm just putting it in the universe. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Holding a grudge against him.
Sorry, Matt. Sorry, Matt. No. It's I will say like I'm definitely prefer whoever comes out of the West. Even if Carolina wins the series, I want whoever comes out of the West. But I mean, if I had to rank them 1 through 4, Florida is definitely 4. I like, yeah. Sorry.
How about you, Dave?
Dude, I literally can't even believe like Florida's in this spot right now, especially in that first game, dude. Carolina had I legitimately think 3 separate chances where they had Bob beat, but they fanned on a shot, or their shot got like they kind of I don't know, they kind of edged their shot and it like went off like the crossbar. They literally had wide open nets. If you're gonna sit here and tell me that the Florida Panthers right now are not running off of adrenaline and luck, listen, I don't know what to tell you. Bob has been outstanding. The guy in the first game alone, in that 5 overtime game, or what is it? Dude, he had, I think it was like a 5 goals saved above expected. So
The
like,
highest since like 2007 or something, like
yeah,
since this
whenever
that's
they
been
started
tracked.
tracking it, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like, how are you gonna beat that? I really don't. I never want to say. I don't know if I ever really want to give a goalie too much credit and let it like kind of balloon
It's well
them.
deserved.
But like, I don't know. You can't sit here and tell me that he's not standing on his skull to pull this team all the way to a cup final. Like it's genuinely insane.
So I
Who would
think
have thought
Seth
would be saying that Bobrovsky's contract is a bargain in the playoffs?
He
every
might
other
be
year,
the
only in May.
first and only $10 million goalie to win a cup.
I say $10 million player. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think there's
that
been a
too. That's
$10
what.
million
Yeah, I don't think there
player
is.
yet.
I think you're right.
He could be the first, man.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
God.
Seth Jarvis's XG I think went up like the entire average over the whole season has gone up by 2 in the past 2 games. Like that is ridiculous.
That guy is
Also,
so unlucky, like scoring. Like he's the one that I was saying in particular. I'm pretty sure he had 2 of, if I said there was like 3 or 4 chances, he had 2 of them for sure, where it was like he just like either fanned on the shot or whatever it was, and he just couldn't get it by Bob. Like it's on. Oh my God. I feel so bad. That's the type of stuff where, especially after that 5 overtime game, like you're on the bus and you're trying to doze off and you see those misses replaying in your head. That's how like how brutal and unlucky Seth Jarvis has been, right? Oh,
I feel for him, but he's you know what he's a great player and hopefully Carolina can pick it back up. Okay, I do prefer having Florida beat Carolina. I'm gonna say Florida in 5. I'll give them the indecent sweep, the one that you guys
No,
got.
no. So they can do the or actually, yeah, they can do the gentleman's sweep. They could do it.
Oh, it's
the 3 go up 3-0, give them, they did it to the Leafs, Florida.
no,
They
but
went up
they wouldn't be
No, see,
they wouldn't be
yeah,
giving the winner at home. They'd be giving the winner away.
yeah. No, sorry, they can't
Yeah,
do it. You're right. It is the
I
same
think
scenario.
Vegas would be
Yeah.
able to do that, right?
Yes.
yeah,
Vegas
that's
can
the
do
other
the
way.
gentleman's sweep. This is the indecent man's sweep. I think that sounds about right. Like I think that does sound like the way it goes. Yeah.
Man.
Okay, it's like I have a theme, a couple themes for this like both playoff series. I just want to bring up goalies. It's been the story of this whole entire playoffs. So do you guys feel comfortable rolling with a $10 million goalie, or do you guys feel more comfortable running with a Aiden Hill? You know, because there's two sides to this.
Yeah.
Both the
Well,
teams that
seeing- yeah, we're seeing the good and the bad, or like we're seeing both sides, and we're seeing, I guess, the good and the bad with both. But like, I don't even know. Like, can you? Because if you put Alex Lyon in, right?
he's
Does
an injury
Alex?
goalie. He's the same as not Brassois. He's the same as Aiden Hill in that sense
Yeah.
that he's
So
yeah.
he's the same in terms of what? In terms of salary, like that, like what you like,
Yes.
into okay.
Like performance tier,
Does
all that stuff.
does Alex Lyon come in the five? Like, does he start that 5 overtime game and put up what is it, 60 saves like Bob does?
No,
He loses that.
Yeah.
I don't know, right? Like, I guess that's only a question you could ask. Like, you need that to be proven.
Yeah.
But,
I think of it like this. Like, try to imagine swapping Bobrovsky and Aiden Hill. Vegas with Bobrovsky, do they lose a game? Florida with Aiden Hill, they could be in the same spot, but chances are they've dropped a couple games, right? So I think you take Bobrovsky 10 times out of 10, and they're kind of perfect matches for their teams. I don't really know. Bobrovsky might be one of those goalies, or I bring this up. Like with Freddie, it felt like he always let in a goal on one of the first couple shots, especially if we had the pressure and he's not touching the puck. That's something that matters for goalies. They need to touch the puck early to get a feel for it. But Bobrovsky, honestly, he's been getting peppered every single game. And that's probably to his advantage. He seems like the type of goalie that he likes to touch the puck. That's what gives him confidence. He feeds off of every save.
they need to be
Aiden
heat checked.
Hill, not that. Aiden Hill, Vegas is structured defensively. Aiden Hill is, I'll stop the shots that come my way, but don't leave me hanging here or it won't be good.
I have a question. What is the record? Because I'm pretty sure in all 3 series so far, Bob's had at least like one game where he's made like 35 plus or close to 40 plus saves in a win. What is the record for that? Maybe that's like something we
great
could look
question.
up later, but man,
But-
like all 3 series, like to your point, Christian, dude, like if that's anybody else, if that's like honestly, like you said, like Freddie Anderson on those like Leaf teams that just let people go through, that was like no defense Leaf teams. Like, does Bob like put up this type of performance there? Like, I have no idea, right?
That's something I've seen where people were comparing this Florida team to the 2013 Toronto Maple Leafs.
That's awful.
Like the alternate reality Leafs don't do the 4-1 thing. I'm like, yeah, no, you can't even do that. There's no Matt Kachuk on that goddamn
No
Leaf
Sasha
team.
Barkov.
James Reimer is not Sergei Bobrovsky.
If you're gonna
Like,
tell me
yeah.
Dion Phaneuf is Aaron Ekblad, I'm gonna laugh at you in your face.
And look, you just said Barkov. Who's Barkov, bro? Tyler Bozak and Nazem Kadri? Like, I'm sorry.
That's brutal. Oh
That
god.
is brutal take.
Does that make Carl Gunnarsson Gustav Forsling or
You
Who's the
wish.
Brandon Montour, Cody Franzen?
Cody Franzen? Yeah, I mean,
dear God.
or Jake
Actually,
Gardner,
Gardner.
too.
Gardner.
Pick a pick.
So Gardner was a rookie that year, right?
Yeah.
Like he came in fresh. I don't think Florida. Yeah, he's not the Radko Gudas, that's for sure. I don't know who he is, bro. He's like Josh Mahura.
Oh my god.
No,
That defense was full of Josh Mahuras and Eric Stalls. So it was 6 of them, or 5 of them at least, right?
Absolutely right. Yeah.
Another theme I wanted to bring up is Finland. This is the year of the Finns. Okay. So
Hintz.
Rupe Hintz is the best player on Dallas. Miro Heiskanen, that's another one. Second best player in Dallas, best defenseman. Sasha Barkov. He's from Finland. Everybody gets it mixed up. No, he's from Finland. Okay. Another player.
Yanni Hakanpää, Joel Kiviranta. Come on, guys. You gotta get
They
the
have-
hard hitting.
Don't they have like the biggest contingent of Finns on one team? Or
That's
it's like,
Carolina.
oh yeah,
Or
I
it's
forgot about
Florida.
them.
Oh, it's
Anton
Florida, yeah.
Lundell and Luosterainen. Like,
That's true.
I think I'm getting an idea of what's going on here. Wow.
So Finland's rise has been foreshadowed since like 2016, since they had. I know that both players really didn't work out from like Laine and Puljujärvi, but you're starting to see like influx of Finns coming in, and they're starting to dominate. They're even starting to dominate on like the World Championships, World Juniors. Makes you think like
It's very
this is
happening, man.
yes.
Golden goal.
This
Golden
is
goal.
the come up in like it's been foreshadowed, but now we're trying to see it in action. So where I'm going with this is like, don't you guys just find it a little bit interesting? We're just been hearing years of like Canadian dominance, American dominance, and then now you have this newcomer up
And even Russian dominance too for like the 90s into the
for 1 year,
2000s,
2018.
right?
Yeah.
No, but like
I
even before that, like dude, they had like the Russian 5 on Detroit, right? Like that was the
Yes.
big thing in the 90s, right? You put all 5 defectors coming over, and then everybody wanted to go get Russian players.
But but
Then
you're talking
all
about this now, right? Like from Finland's perspective now, like are you guys more open to drafting from Finland in the sense that like personally I was kind of against it, but now that I'm seeing this, it's like kind of interesting.
I
I
think,
honestly think this is all just hoopla. Like I
yeah,
to be honest, I
you
think there's
draft
nothing
based
to
on
any of
skill.
this.
I
Yeah,
think you
well,
draft like, dude, if they're based out of, I don't know, Latvia, but if they have like the skill and the talent, you take them. I don't base it off of like, I mean, it's tough because, like I said, Latvia, like I don't know if they have like up to like their standards of whatever, like anything going on there are probably less than the States and Canada, right? Like all of their like equipment, all that type of stuff. But if they have the raw talent, you could mold them into be like to being whatever you want them to be. But I think it's honestly it's fantastic that we're starting to see more than, what is it, 3 countries, 4. I think like the big three, it's the big 3 plus like Sweden, right? That's
Yes.
been the four-headed monster in hockey for generations now. So maybe now that we're adding Finland, isn't there another one too? I think
I
is
think
it,
we're at 8 teams. Honestly, I think we're at 8 countries. So
I
Czechia.
I don't know if it can. Oh yeah, Czechia maybe. Like I don't know. Can
I think
Asia,
Germany and Switzerland
You
can
make an argument.
they're in that bottom tier, but like they can
yeah,
hang in the tournament. Like they can maybe win one game in this hypothetical tournament, right?
yeah,
In like a World Cup of hockey. I think they've entered the conversation there. Like you throw Leon Draisaitl on any team and they can win a game, right?
yeah, for
That's the
sure.
argument there. Nico Hischier, Roman Josi, Switzerland. Anyways, like I just feel like we go through waves of this all the time. Like was it the LA Kings that had like the biggest contingency of Canadians to win the Stanley Cup, or maybe it was on Southern Ontario born kids. It was some like Canadian stat. Everyone's just like, that's like you need the good old Ontario boys and whatever. We had a phase where it was just you need a big Swedish #1 defenseman. You need that. You need your Russian goaltender. There was a time where the Finnish thing was you need a Finnish goaltender. You need Mika Kiprusoff or Pekka
Yeah.
Rinne. Like I just think we go through these little phases.
Now it's the Russian goaltenders.
Exactly, exactly. So I just think this is just another phase,
It's just
right? We do have
superstitions,
a lot of
honestly.
Finns. Yeah, yeah. Like I don't think because of what I'm seeing in the playoffs, I'm going to take the Finn over again from a different country in the next draft or anything. But I think there's something to the fact that you can have chemistry on a team with a lot of guys from the same country. We're probably having the same conversation if it was Boston in this spot and their check line, right? Like things like that. I don't know if it's something's been awoke in Finland, especially just because these are all veteran players. These aren't just like rookies that are doing things here. But you can definitely say that like Finland is a more competitive country, I guess. They do lack a little on defense. They leave a little
Oh, why
to
Yanni
be
Hakanpää is not the all-world defenseman that
yeah, like half of the defense would be from Dallas. Yeah, it would be
Dallas, yeah. It's
Heiskanen,
that Dallas
Lindell,
one.
and Hakanpää. Yeah, yeah.
That's funny.
I mean,
I'll tell
yeah.
you what, having Heiskanen as your #1,
Yeah.
not
I
a bad
mean,
bet.
You're chilling.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
That guy
He'll
fits
play
in for
the
like 2
entire
games.
game. You'll play a regulation game and you look at his time on ice and it was somehow 65 minutes. You don't know where the
Yeah.
other 5 minutes came from, but yeah.
Yeah.
Minute eater. He is the
That guy
leader.
does not come off the ice. Like I know there are people that are minute eaters. Like Aaron Ekblad is up there, but my God, Miro Heiskanen. If
Eats him for
you
breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
exactly like you said, Christian, dude, if you told me he played all 60 minutes, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like I'll be honest with you. Yeah, like man.
This
Okay.
is 9 minutes ago. I'm just gonna throw this in here as I'm sure
Uh-oh.
we're gonna go to break here. Little
Yeah.
teaser. From Elliot Friedman on I think this was from 32 Thoughts. I think a new one dropped today. Friedman saying, I hear that the Penguins do have permission to speak to Kyle Dubas. If this is to go anywhere, I think we're going to find out quickly. No comment.
It's gonna happen midway through the second part. You guys are gonna be in tears.
Oh
It's
god.
gonna be like Kyle
Oh,
Dubas has
God.
signed a 5-year agreement with the Pittsburgh Penguins to be the GM and president at the same time or something like that. And
yeah,
then
and then in 5 years, both Gino and Sid are gonna retire, and they're gonna join him as AGMs, and he's gonna mold them into like the best GMs
like,
in
you
the
know,
league.
you stop speaking into
Somebody
existence. Now I'm starting to
somebody
get a little
go
bit worried.
find out. Somebody go find out which 11-year-old phenom prodigy in Quebec is going to get drafted to the Rimouski Oceanic in 5 years and then get
Oh,
drafted first overall by the Pittsburgh Penguins. Okay,
yeah.
somebody find that guy for me.
And the rest of
If
the
he
team's gonna
doesn't
be made up of
exist, we're
Sioux
okay.
guys. Also, okay. Actually, never mind. I'm just gonna go on break right here. I think that
Yes,
makes better
that's
sense.
yeah.
We'll be right back. Okay, we are back. Let's go into our next topic. Clayton Keller going to Washington. I don't know if you guys just saw, but no, I'm kidding. The real topic is Arizona. So I don't know where to go with this because I don't think the team knows where to go and the NHL knows where to go with this. But do you guys want to see the move?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
I'm conflicted. I am conflicted. I don't like to ever see a fan base lose their team. And honestly, I like, is it the fans at fault here in Arizona?
No.
I
No.
don't know. Right? Where's the Arizona? Where's the Ryan Reynolds from Scottsdale to come and save the day, man? Not that Reynolds is gonna get the
And
Ottawa team, but
the the worst part is like people are looking at this as a situation that like vultures. Like everybody's looking around like the rest
oh
of
yeah,
the rest of the league, the rest of the GMs, businessmen,
players.
players. Everybody's looking at this like a dead corpse on the in the middle of the savannah, and then birds circling around.
Vultures are picking at the Coyotes. I think we figured out the Houston team name, boys. Houston Vultures. Sounds good.
Ooh,
Nice ring
that's a
to
good
it.
one.
Possible. I do would rather, like you guys said, I'd rather see. Well, we all have the same opinion. We'd rather see Houston over Salt Lake City,
Oh
but
God.
I just think that's gonna be Salt Lake City, and I don't know. I'm
I'd
not in
rather
love
see
with it.
KC over Salt Lake. Like Houston's my number one. I'd rather see like KC and
Yeah,
then like oh man, those Mormons. God. They
I
are ooh.
okay. Does this also make you think that Jake Chickering is the smartest man in the world because he left at the perfect time to go to an organization that's on the way up? Doesn't that just isn't that kind of crazy?
Clayton Keller is definitely kicking himself in the butt right now. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not. Well, it doesn't matter because I think that he'll find a new home somewhere nice on the East Coast. But
Oh
I think
yeah.
that I also think that,
Does that home happen to like include the president in it and that type of stuff,
yes,
Bry?
yes,
Does it
Like
rhyme with
Congress?
The Washington Schwappitals? Does it
yes.
rhyme with
Do
it?
they
Oh,
pay
wow.
do they
Who would
play
have
at
thought?
the Capital 2 Arena?
Yes,
They
but
might. They might.
another tell I just wanted to bring up is Logan Cooley. He's probably the
Yeah.
best prospect that belongs to a team right now. Obviously, like the draft's coming up soon, but those guys don't belong to a team. I think Keller belongs to Arizona, who has rights to, and he's going back to the University of Minnesota for another year.
Logan Cooley.
Smart.
You said Clayton Keller right now. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Logan
Sorry.
Cooley.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like this guy should be playing professional, and he chose to spend an extra year in university.
He also had quotes saying that like this directly impacted his decision and that he was probably going to turn pro had that vote went the other way. So we know that like this isn't just like picking at straws and connecting dots. No, this is literally based off of the players' quotes. What a
So
fumble.
Oh,
so
they dropped the bag.
when does Gary step in? Because if that is the direct quote from Logan Cooley, one of the most hyped US prospects in a bit of time playing for that godforsaken franchise, and he turned around and basically said, I'm not playing for that team because they have no future, basically. They might ruin and stunt his development. When does Gary come in and finally pull the plug? Because if it's not now, it's going to be never, basically, right? How many
I
times have we said they've been talking about relocating the Coyotes franchise out of Arizona State, yeah, for 10 years and nothing's happened. It's been legitimately the 10 years have been the worst. But like all 25 years of the Coyotes franchise has had its very fair shares of ups and major downs, right? But this is the biggest spell in franchise history.
It's the biggest slap in the face. Like
what are we
a
doing
tier
here,
A
Chris?
prospect saying, "I'd rather be a student
Yeah,
and play
I'd
in
rather
college
not
than
make
go
any
pro."
money. I'd
I'd
rather
rather
take
play in your college arena for my college than for your team.
Yeah, I'd rather take
Yes.
a stipend instead of $925,000 contract. You know what I mean?
And this is not like I can't understate. I can't overstate this enough. Like Cooley is legitimately going to be a superstar in the league. He's the equivalent of like Zegras, and he has a little bit more attitude. If this guy's on any other team, if he's on a Canadian franchise, you'd be hearing about him like crazy. But
We hear nothing
unfortunately,
about him. Yeah.
yes, unfortunately, it's the circumstances of playing on quote
Arizona.
unquote an irrelevant, yeah, Arizona. I
Yeah.
was gonna say irrelevant franchise, but Arizona as a whole just sums it up perfectly.
So it seems like what is going to happen here in the event they do relocate, it doesn't sound like it would happen this year. Like they would be playing another year at Mullet Arena. It seems like no matter what scenario we go to, that's what's going to happen. That's going to be very fascinating to watch. Like, how is the team going to play? How are the fans supposed to show up to a product they know they won't see the year after? It's going to be
A product
really
doomed
weird.
to fail, basically
Yeah.
failure
How
to launch.
I
how
guess
fast
the only game to sell out would be maybe the first of the season and the last to say goodbye. That's probably it.
how fast do we see um like trade clauses like sorry trade requests start coming in?
I think just as soon as we get word, I think it's probably already happened and we just don't have insiders who have reported it yet. Right?
It's
So in
possible.
reality,
They
they've
probably
happened
don't pay any of them, so it's probably only like 3 of them in Arizona.
I think I saw a thing. I don't want to like I don't know the
Talk
exact
down.
quote. I don't know who had it, but I did see something yesterday that there's multiple complaints from Arizona Coyotes players about certain things. I don't remember exactly what it was, but there was something about like the NHLPA is probably going to get involved here, and because of how many complaints there are, and kind of say like, hey, NHL, get this figured out because our players are not being treated like NHL players at this franchise.
Well, what did they expect? Did they expect to be treated like NHL players?
At a
Before the season started,
NHL facility.
we had the pictures circulating of the
Those
dressing
are
room.
so embarrassing.
The dressing room legitimately looked like the Metro Toronto Convention Center when something was happening with like those big drapes like lining
We
out
all went to the same
the
high
thing.
school. You ever been in the drama classroom? You know the drapes in there? That's what it was.
Yeah,
That's
that's
where it was.
exactly what it was. Hey, man, you know what? What a simile to the situation, because I think it's curtains for this team, dude. It's I don't know. Like if you have to spend another, because clearly I think it was wishful thinking to think that this, if everything went right, they'd have to spend this upcoming season plus the season after that at Mullet Arena regardless to get the stadium built. Now you're just prolonging. If there is a stadium, you have to wait for the next set. You have to plan and develop your next area.
Go through another vote.
Then you have to go through another vote. Then you have to build the stadium. Do you know how much time that adds on? That's probably an extra 2 years. Pull the plug. Just pull the plug.
I really don't know what's going on, and I don't think anybody does that's not within that little circle. It's
It probably
kind of
just is the Suns thing. Like I think that's the only solution. If the Suns owner if he's willing to share the arena with them, even if it's a temporary agreement for let's say a lease for like 2 years or whatever, that could buy them enough time to get another arena deal. That's
I
the
don't know
only
if,
way. It's the
I don't
only
know
way.
if leases come that little though. I like in terms of like
it's a
leases
big
like
favor.
that.
It's a
I
big
see what you're
ask.
saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I
Okay,
think like
sorry.
5 might be even if it's 5, dude, and you
Yeah.
get everything set. But then like let's say they want to break their lease 3 years in and the stadium's built. Like,
Yeah.
is
So
that
then the other option is that they're bought outright by what is it, Matt Ishbia, I think is his name.
yeah.
So if Matt Ishbia, Mr. Fancy new owner who traded for Kevin Durant, who fired his coach and all this
Who
stuff.
got
He's willing to spend money.
socked. He got
Yeah,
socked by Nikola
Nuggets.
Jokic. Yeah.
Yeah. So if he is willing to take some more of his money and
Light it on
purchase the
fire.
franchise, that is literally, yeah, definitely laying it on fire. But that is probably the last scenario that I can think of where they stay. I don't. It's like you said, the arena building one seems like it's a foregone conclusion that it won't work because of how long it will take, because playing in Mullet Arena is an untenable situation. It just is. And we really don't need more of a circus show where they say, yeah, so we're going to relocate the Coyotes for like 2 years to Salt Lake, and then they'll be back in Arizona in 3 years. Like, that would be stupid. That would be so damn stupid.
You know who did that? The Houston Oilers of the NFL. They told their fans
Okay.
they were gonna so the Houston Oilers, for if you guys didn't know, were a team up until, like, I would say legitimately 20 years ago. They told their fans they needed a new stadium. The city wasn't providing any funding. It was almost like a similar type of situation as this. They told their fans they were gonna, I believe they were gonna check out Tennessee. So they relocated as the Tennessee Oilers for a year. Surprise, surprise. Nobody from Tennessee wanted to show up because it's not their franchise. Actually, they didn't rename the team. They were the Houston Oilers playing as in Tennessee. So the fans didn't want to show up in Tennessee because that's not their team, like their brand name, right? The fans in Houston didn't want to show up because, to give up your son, you have to legitimately give up an entire weekend to go watch a football game. So what did they do? They folded that franchise, but then they figured that Tennessee was a good spot, and that's how the Tennessee Titans came about, right? So, baseball wanted to try to do that by splitting games in Tampa Bay and Montreal, and still call that team the Tampa Bay Rays, playing at the Exhibition Stadium in Montreal. And it's like, how ass backwards can you be? Like, how asinine and moronic is that?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't get it. I've never gotten like the dual residency type of things because it doesn't work, and it's proven to not work.
How terrible is it for the Raptors, eh? Tampa Bay Raptors. Different scenario, pandemic related, but we know that was awful.
Well, yeah. So the caveat to that was, we knew as soon as stuff started clearing up. We didn't know at the time how long it would take.
Yeah,
for sure. But as soon as stuff started clearing up, they had their stadium to go back to, right? Same thing with the Blue Jays, right? Playing in Dunedin for like half a year, and Buffalo.
We just don't know what's going on, and that's the main thing that I want to like allude to, because we don't know what's going on with another team. A team that we're
there has to be
more questions than we do answers, honestly. Like, we're probably still in the questioning phase of this. I don't think we're going to be getting answers yet.
No.
And I just wanted to transition because I wanted to give you guys more time to talk about this, because I know that you guys are going to go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And
hey, Arizona, there's only one ass backwards franchise in the NHL, and that's the Leafs, baby.
How backwards is your ass? Not more backwards than ours, okay?
Yeah.
I'd rather, you know what? I think that the one franchise that I think that I'd rather be than you, like, I'd rather you guys are the one franchise I'd rather be over Arizona, in the sense that like you guys are 30, you guys are 31, you guys are 31,
God.
they're 32 right now.
Oh
That's
my God.
not the great, like, Brian, I know you're trying to cheer
That's
us
a
up right
low
here. That's
bar.
not doing anything here.
I'm gonna really sleep well tonight after that one, Brian. I'm really
The one
sleep
thing I
well.
have to say to Arizona is they've seen a conference finals appearance more recently than the Toronto Maple Leafs. So give it up for the Leafs, everybody.
That's absurd.
That's true,
That's
actually.
an absurd stat. I have more Elliot Friedman stuff that's come out on the Leafs from the podcast. Elliot Friedman says Leafs exit interviews did not go well, and players were very blunt about why they aren't going far in playoffs.
Oh yeah, they're blunt about it. Oh yeah, that's crazy. No, that's actually insane.
So you see, Dave, what happened was they went in the room and said, "It's me. I am the problem. I suck. Change me." That's what they said.
That's what it was. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Dave,
I'm honestly.
Oh my God, that just got me so upset.
I'm actually drawing a blank on Like this might be the worst moment in the franchise since when? What was the worst moment before this one? Because I was saying the Montreal series in my head, and I said to myself, no. 3 days later, I was like, we can win the cup next year.
We had hope.
To be honest, we had hope because we were like, good players, good team, all that stuff. We don't know who's running the team. We don't know this and that. I think this is the worst time period to be a Leaf fan since it was 4-1.
Yeah.
I
think
the one.
legitimately because at least with it was 4-1, you could say to yourself after the week,
we were on borrowed time.
You could say to yourself, like, okay, listen, if you build this properly, maybe we could make another run next year. I think the deepest, darkest moment was when they fired. I think it was that time when Randy Carlyle came out and said these guys are uncoachable. He was on borrowed time here. They fired him. Peter Horachek came in.
You're right. Peter Horachek was such dark times.
Dude, 9-28 record to finish the season.
And his interviews sucked, bro. Like I couldn't even
man.
like. Sometimes you're just like, okay, well, if your coach is like,
yeah, he was bland and a bad coach. Like I don't
so
get it.
Bad.
Pick a struggle, dude. Come on.
If I had to, there was no coach I'd wish upon any franchise more than Peter Horachek. No coach in NHL history.
I mean, he might be in the running right now to be our GM. So who knows, right?
I know, based off of the names, right?
My surprise is actually that I do kind of. I might have I have belief that I know who the GM is.
Do you?
Okay, so you gotta let us guess. Okay, you have to let us guess. You have to give us hints. Is it just the one that we think?
Is it the ghost of Harold Ballard?
No, Dave. It is the one you think. Yeah, it is.
It is.
Is it Papa Pete?
No.
Toronto Pizza, Austin Pizza.
Yeah.
I have really good reason to believe, and you guys are gonna hear it. I can't say how.
We've seen his name. This is how I judge a litmus test on how likely is it to happen. If I see this person's name pop, I do this especially for GMs and coaches. For all the teams. If they're on Hockey Night in Canada talking about a specific person more than 5 times in a week, more than likely it's going to happen. Brad Treliving has already come up, I would say, since Friday. I must have seen his name on TV at least 4 separate times, and in articles maybe another 5 or 6 separate times. So that's
CJ, Frege, everyone, all the guys that you trust are hinting at it. So okay, this is what I want. I have someone.
Question. I have. This is the one time that I can like convincingly.
Okay, we'll ask you about this off air.
Yeah.
Anyways, whatever you want to tell. But okay. So do we go? So we have TikTok on our helmet right now, and we have milk on our jersey. Does Boston Pizza go on the helmet and Dragon's Den on the jersey, or vice versa? Which one are we doing?
Boston Pizza on both. He's no longer on Dragon's Den.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm late to that one. Damn it. Okay.
I mean, they could have got a pretty good deal on Dragon's Den. Isn't that like a CBC run show?
Yes.
Are they funded by the CBC? Oh man,
yes. Dragon's Den on Hockey Night.
Would have got that for 50% off. We would have been able to afford a Austin Matthews contract with that.
Okay, let's have some serious talk. I need to start talking serious.
That was an underrated comment.
I need something tangible on this therapy session, guys. Not just laughter, not more coping. Okay, I need answers, man. I need answers. Okay,
dude, if I don't make jokes, I'm gonna cry, Christian.
I know, Dave. I know, man. I know,
my coping mechanism.
This isn't true laughter. This is Joker laughter, right? That's what. Yeah,
that was really good. The sad thing is, you might need it.
Yeah, I might. Dude, the sad thing is, it might be right.
Dude, special edition Dragon's Den. You have Brad and his father. Forget his Jim Treliving. Okay, Brad and Jim are the only dragons in the Dragon's Den. Austin Matthews comes out, special edition Dragon's Den. He gives his pitch, and they both say, "I'm out." And that's it. That's how we find out they lost out on Austin Matthews.
That's how we sign new. That's how we re-sign contracts in Toronto now.
Yes, all the exit interviews that's where it's done in the studio. Okay.
Oh man.
Tavares comes out, no C. Out comes Cali Yarncroke with a C. It's like, yeah, I'm in on Cali. No,
I want 50% for $250,000 of the company.
Oh yeah, and I'll give you a no move clause.
I'll give you the no move.
Yeah. No royalties, but you get a no move clause, and I'll talk to the Canadian Tire CEO for you. Yeah. Okay. Of all of the crappy experienced GMs, like this is the best worst case scenario. Can we call it that?
This is like
That's
follow
not a high
plan.
bar.
I
This is
think
the
that you
follow
guys.
plan
I think
option.
that the main reason he's getting the job. This has nothing to do with how I know this, by the way. The main reason I think that I know that he's like, the reason I think that he's being selected is because he's not afraid to like hit the red button, the nuke button. He's not
I
afraid to
don't.
make that big trade. And
Ugh.
But you don't want the guy who hits the nuclear codes just because.
no,
You
but
don't
like,
want that guy. It can go great, but it can go terribly. I want the calculated, measured guy who comes to
you
the right
had him.
decision after. Yeah, I'm aware. I'm very aware. I was telling Brian Dave before you came when I was out yesterday. We did a round of shots first for a birthday. The second round of shots for Kyle. They were for
Oh.
Kyle.
Oh, that's so sad.
I
I
actually
don't
don't
know.
feel bad.
And I don't know who the third round of shots should be for. I don't know if I'm toasting to Brad, to be honest, for the third round
It's
of shots.
it's gonna be Shanahan next year when he gets sacked. That's my
But,
take.
that might be celebrations not for Shanahan but for the Leafs. Okay, I don't even know, but we're listen once again. So I think of the names that have been bandied about that have experience, Brad probably is the best option. Like once again, not a high bar, not at all. And that's a very tough situation to be in for the Maple Leafs, who feel like they've been going for at least the top of whatever you want to call it, like whatever top this, top that. They go for the best of the best, and it kind of feels like we're settling right now. And settling is something that the old Leafs regime used to do before Shanahan came. Throw darts at a board and see if they hit. That's scary. That is goddamn terrifying that we're back at that stage. I'm gonna have to like go through Brad's cap friendly, look at every single trade he's made to make an opinion here. But like I think there's two trades. There's two Brad Tree Living trades that we have to base our knowledge off of. The first one is the Kachuk trade. Notice how it's called the Kachuk trade and not the Huberdeau trade. Okay, you can infer what you want out of that. It's not called the
Hey.
Uyghur trade either.
Who said before the season that was an absolute steal for Florida?
You
I will still hang my
Maybe.
head on that.
Yes. No,
Dude,
you
if they win a
absolutely
cup,
nailed it.
it's legitimately done and dusted. Like that's it. Because
It's a
I like,
terrible
can you
trade.
even see? If Huberdeau ends up winning, Huberdeau and Uyghur, if they end up winning a cup within the time period that they're in Calgary, is it even considered a win for them? If
Unless
Kachuk
they're the
already
ones
gets
doing it. Like unless it's Huberdeau and Uyghur carrying the team and they're like one of them are the Conn Smythe.
like we're
That's
saying
how.
in a fictional scenario, like Kachuk is already like Florida wins it this year, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a scenario where in the next, let's say, what is it, 8 years of Huberdeau, that he wins a cup? Like, yeah, he has to put his team on the back, get the Conn Smythe, and also then get
equal.
like the Hart, like whatever, like all the regular season awards plus the Conn Smythe. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay, so that's the first trade. The other trade we've talked about in our chat before, like the Hannafin Lindholm for Hamilton and Fox. That's the other one. And that was a win-win for both teams. So it's not like he fleeced Carolina. Another thing here. What round has Brad Treliving brought his team to? What's the farthest he's gone in the playoffs with his team? To? Oh, he's a great fit for Toronto. We've done the same thing. We've just newly joined the Brad Treliving club of second round.
We can't even get to that round normally. Yeah, like this is the first time we're doing it.
I've said it in our chat tons of times. I've heard lots of other people say that the guy that I would want, and a lot of people want, would be Eric Tulsky, the guy who literally went to Harvard, not Hartford. He didn't go to the Whalers. He went to Harvard University. Could you imagine if he went to Hartford? No. He went to Harvard, had an entire career working in nanotechnology, and then decided, oh yeah, I kind of like that hockey thing. What if I do stuff with that hockey thing? And has since been the brainchild behind the Carolina Hurricanes and their ascent to where they are right now as a Final Four team. He works with analytics, and he's also part of the pro scouting. I'm almost more impressed by the pro scouting stuff than the analytics stuff, because if there's one thing we always say when Carolina makes a trade, is that it was a fleece, that they target the right people, that they make the right trades. So he's the guy through and through. I'm going to be mad when it is Brad Treliving and it's not him. And I'll be even madder if he does end up on another team as a GM or whatever. That's my piece on it. I don't have a full opinion on Brad Treliving yet until he's actually named as one, and then I can go deep dive.
Christian, I think you brought up a really good point. And the one reason why everybody kind of seems to think it's going to be Brad Treliving is because I don't know if Shanny did it on purpose. I don't know if he should have, but in his press conference after the Dubas firing, which was a crazy press conference in itself, but one thing to take away from that is he said they were looking at a experienced GM. What does Brad Treliving have over Eric Tulsky right now as a GM? Experience, right? The big E word, exactly. If Shanny comes out and doesn't say those words, does it maybe give you more hope? I think maybe even at the end of the day,
false hope is what it gives me, though, right? Because they don't say it publicly.
Maybe he's already told us, like, yeah, we've got Brad hired. I would expect probably by tomorrow. So today's Victoria Day in Canada.
Yeah.
So it's a long weekend for us. So I wouldn't expect us to get any news today, but tomorrow or Wednesday, because we got the original news Friday morning. And then I would expect Tuesday or Wednesday for us to go through. Now, if it's not Eric Tulsky, what about Brandon Pridham, Christian?
Call me crazy. But I actually might prefer Brad Treliving to Brandon Pridham because he's not an internal hire. To be honest, there's a world where I say change is necessary, change is good, and Brad Treliving represents more change than Brandon Pridham. I don't know what Brandon Pridham's resume is for hockey deals outside of cap-related things. That has always been his focus. Before he was working for the Leafs, he was working for the league. He helped design the CBA. That is his expertise. I don't think you're putting him in a position that will help the Toronto Maple Leafs succeed the most as a GM. I think he's perfectly suited as an assistant GM. And if that's something he's aspiring to do, I know this may be hypocritical of me to say I'd give Eric Tulsky that chance and I wouldn't give Brandon Pridham that chance, but I don't want him as a first-time GM personally. I do think there's a world where you can survive losing Brandon Pridham, because I think we live in a world now where you can see a lot of the Brandon Pridham things on Twitter. Not to say that anyone is as qualified as Brandon Pridham on Twitter, but I do think there's been a general understanding around the league of how the CBA works to the point where you can maybe catch up to what he's done and still survive as a team. The difference between Pridham and Tulsky, what the difference is there is, once again, Tulsky works directly with analytics and pro scouting. I don't think Brandon Pridham's touching pro scouting, and he's maybe looking at analytics, but pro scouting is the one thing where, for the team where it's at right now, we want to contend. We have core pieces in their prime. You want pro scouting. You want absolute 10 out of 10, knock it out of the park pro scouting.
I don't think Pridham's ever had to do that. I think that's all been on Dubas.
Yeah.
Who else was there? Lawrence Gilman. There was a couple other names, that
there's guys with the Marlies that are Dubas guys. We might be hearing about them being let go too, to be honest. The name that's apparently like a Dubas type who works for the Marlies, I think his name is Ryan Hardy. I know his last name is Hardy. He's a guy who is a Dubas pick who apparently around the league has kind of the Dubas reputation as an up-and-comer. But because he's a Dubas guy, we might be losing hold of him too, to be honest. So, not that I'd put him as GM either, right? We're on a different timeline now. We are, which is why the Brad stuff makes sense. But experience, and this is the last point I'll make on Tulsky, experience versus Treliving and Tulsky. Brad Treliving has experience in the second round. Eric Tulsky has experience right now in the conference finals. If you want to talk about experience, he's winning that little battle. And I know I'm just trying to make a point, and I know that general experience obviously hand goes towards Treliving. It's just not my preferred choice. It's not.
Man.
Okay, so
We're speechless.
Can two okay, so this is one thing I wanted to bring up about
Okay.
this whole situation.
Yes.
Can two sides be wrong at once? Like two wrongs
Absolutely.
don't make a right, right? That's the saying.
Yeah.
Last summer, Brendan Shanahan, in hindsight now, screwed up by not offering Kyle Dubas a contract, right? I think we could admit that. Even with his lack of playoff experience, I still think if you are a process-based team basing your next future contracts on current results, I think the two of them don't go hand in hand together. I don't think there's really much of a correlation.
If you polled the fan base in the summer, what do you think the fan base's results would have been for extend Dubas or not fire him, but let him play out the year? I think it would have been really close to 50-50.
Yeah, 100%. But that's why the fan base isn't given
Sure.
the chance to run the team, right? There's a select number. That's why Brendan Shanahan runs
Yeah.
hockey operations, right? Now, I'm not going to absolve Dubas of all sins because we heard
No.
Kyle Dubas go on a press conference and say, he kind of went off script. It seemed like he had those locker cleanout days have been relatively clean, I would say, for the past 8 years that he's been in the organization, especially from him, and 5 as a GM. He went on record to say that this past year was one of the toughest in his life. He cited that his family, it was taking a toll on his family, right? Now, that makes me sympathetic to the guy, 100%. For a guy that I've grown to love and trust over the past 5 years, that made me more sympathetic towards him. When we found out on Friday that an offer was given to Kyle Dubas, he didn't accept it. He countered the offer with basically getting the same amount as what was
he asked his boss for his boss's salary.
For his boss's salary.
And for his boss's power.
And then he didn't respond until I believe it was like the day before he was fired.
Thursday, via email.
Like,
hey, Brendan, just checking in with you. Just want to let you know, I kind of wanted to be the GM still. Can you imagine that?
So we just tanked, or they just tanked this entire franchise based off of pettiness, basically, right?
Yeah.
The past 12 months, we've heard that, and listen, we could say like, oh, you're reading into this stuff, but if you look back like 3 years ago when Kyle Dubas was, or 5 years ago when he was first hired as GM, Brendan Shanahan was it was not just Kyle Dubas in the box. It was Kyle Dubas and Brendan Shanahan, celebrating goals together, yelling, screaming bloody murder. Kind of. Brendan wasn't doing that type of stuff, but Kyle was. Kyle always wore his heart on his sleeve, I have to say. And you know what? I respect him for that. But it was the two of them. They were partners in crime. Over the past 12 months, we noticed, and it's not just like I just noticed this, a lot of people noticed it. If you went on Twitter,
reported.
There was reports that there was a lot of friction, probably enough friction between the two of them, because you don't have to like the guy you work with. I worked with Brian for 5 years. I hated him some days. I hated him some days, dude. He annoyed the hell out of me. But the next time I saw him, it was like, we resetted. It was, whatever. We'd have arguments in the back of our department, and then an hour later, we'd be helping each other out. There's going to be disagreements, especially in a competitive environment like that.
There's a level of professionalness that just wasn't present in that moment, and it just happened to be the anchor to sink the ship.
Okay, here's my question. Did what we learned in the press conference from Shanahan air out any of the tension that was going on? Like, I still don't know, but I still don't think we know the answer for why Shanahan and Dubas stopped watching games together and what the tension stems from. I still don't think we know the answer.
I think it stems from... I think it's
still a mystery.
I don't think we have to read into it that much. I think it's been reported that Brendan Shanahan was known to... Kyle Dubas, let's put it this way, he was trigger happy. The guy wanted, if stuff wasn't going his way, he wanted to fire a trade and try to solve the problem by by changing it up, right?
Do you want to mention the trade that was reported as if Shanny shot it down? Have you seen this yet,
Don't
Tanner?
mention it.
Is
Yeah.
it the Brandon Hagel
Yes.
Yeah.
when he was on Chicago?
Yes.
So what was it? It was
So
Brandon Hagel and Marc-Andre Fleury coming to Toronto for
Nice and Matt
Matthew
Murray.
Nyes. No, it was Nyes. I don't know if they mentioned Mrazek or Murray, but no, it would have been Murray. I'll try and find it right now. But
I'm
the key,
almost certain, or maybe was it Campbell? No, it couldn't have been Campbell
it
because he
probably
was our
was
starter.
Mrazek, and it makes
I have
sense
a
that it was
feeling it
Mrazek
was.
because they ended up trading for him after. So
Yeah.
that it probably is how it went. But the key to me from that quote was the fact that it mentioned first round picks. I don't think there's any world where you're trading multiple first round picks for Brandon Hagel and Marc-Andre Fleury, along with Matthew Nyes, and the Leaf fan base looks at that and says, yes. Maybe that's hindsight.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because we've seen Matthew Nyes in the flesh now. Maybe that's why.
Brandon Hagel on that, because that would have been last year, right? Or when did Tampa trade for him last year?
Last year.
Does Brandon Hagel on that iteration of the Leaf team do what he did on Tampa? If you like, you know what I mean? Like if
he doesn't even have to do what he did on Tampa. He has to just not be on Tampa. By playing for the Leafs, it maybe changes the series. Like he could be a healthy scratch, but the fact that he's not on Tampa's roster, that might have been the difference. Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. I get that, but I'm just saying that trade in a vacuum, you almost say thank you, Shanny, for blocking that trade. This is just one public example. We've also heard things where Dubas wanted to do certain things, especially at the draft, where he wanted Werenski and to trade down and draft Aho. I think that was the Marner year. And he was shot down by Shanahan and Mark Hunter and the rest of the regime. So there's examples either way. I think the reason I bring up why the tension and like what was the cause behind it and why that's important is because Brendan Shanahan is still here. He is still someone who has direct involvement on the future of the franchise. So if it was pettiness in this stuff that led to the decision let Kyle Dubas go, that does not bode well for the future of this team.
No.
Yeah. So
we're making that's making personnel decisions based off of emotion and not process driven thinking, which is what the current iteration of this team since 2015, since 2014, whenever Shanny was hired, I think that was April 2nd, 2014. Whenever Shanny came in, he was determined to turn this team from one that threw shit at the wall and saw whatever stick, going in without a plan, kind of those types of teams that we grew accustomed to basically for just after the 2004-05 lockout. And then he wanted to turn this team into a more process-driven organization, right? And what a better candidate than the guy using the numbers, the Billy Bean of the NHL, right? Using those fancy stats, right? This team is at a crossroads, and they should have right now been successful, basically. I don't know what you measure as success, but whatever this is, it's not success, basically. This team right now sold us false hope, unfortunately. For better or for worse, that's what they did to this entire fan base and to the rest of the league, right? How many years, Brian, have we been saying to you, it's our year, right?
Like 7.
We sold
like,
you guys.
Realistically, like 5.
We sold you guys false hope too, because you're like, it's not going to happen. And we were blowing up smoke up all our own asses. We couldn't see the truth behind it, right? This is still an emotional. Okay, we're good.
Okay, we are back. I'm gonna give the wheel to these guys again. We had to stop the middle of it because we had to go to break, but now we're back and now they can continue with their therapy session.
Dave, do we want to touch coaching? We haven't really talked about the coach.
I'll touch it quick. Get him out of here. If
for his own sake.
Yeah, I feel bad. I think Sheldon Keefe is probably a phenomenal person. Everything I saw in that Amazon All or Nothing documentary really made me. It gave me more of an appreciation to what Sheldon Keefe has to go through on a day-to-day basis. But he is clearly not the right man for this job. Maybe he's just a little bit too far in above his head. Maybe he has to step back. I don't think he goes back down to the AHL by any chance. I think his role right now should be working on a potential cup contenders bench. I think
Assistant coach.
but is he a systems coach? I don't know.
No, I mean like assistant coach.
Oh, okay, yeah. As an assistant coach, yeah.
The Dave
I think-
Hackstall special.
Yeah,
But Hackstall did 1 year with us, and then yeah,
clearly worked wonders
that's
for
a good
that
show.
guy. So
That's a good show. Could see that for sure. I think it's a very similar scenario to the GM spot in terms of, is the right person out there? I don't even know. Like the options have not, like they're bleak options, but you have to make a move and you have to bring in someone different. That isn't an option. What you do from there is where it gets very, very interesting. And I don't have a name like I have for Tulski as the GM. I don't have a name for the coach. Someone that I'm praying and hoping for. I don't.
I can tell you a name.
If they exist, they work for another team right now, and we have nothing. We don't even have rumors to base any speculation off of for him coming here.
I can
Tell
tell
me
you
your
that it
name,
won't be
Brian.
Carberry. It won't be Carberry. 'Cause
No,
he's
I
coming
don't.
to
I
DC.
think yeah, and I've told you that. I've always thought
Yeah.
that, and I always thought a spot for Keefe could be the Rangers, but it doesn't seem like they're going to go that way. It seems like they're going to go a route that I don't think the Leafs will. I think Bowen and Quenneville are going to be non-options for the Leafs. I don't think we have to go into that, but I don't know who I like for the Leafs. People are going to say Boudreaux. The Boudreaux is one thing, and maybe this is a coach, every single head coach in the past like 15 years, and said to myself, is there even a chance of this person coming here? Is this person available? All that stuff. My list was maybe like 3 names, and at the top of it was Boudreaux. That is not an endorsement for Boudreaux. That is that just reflects how terrible the Leafs are in this spot right now, where they need a coach, and there is no one who I'm
Prop
putting
is
my
really
faith
thin
in
this year.
to turn this
And
around.
compared to
It is
last
so
year,
damn thin.
it's almost mind-boggling.
Yeah, I know. That is the worst part for everything, for UFA, for trades, for GMs, for like, well, maybe GMs. There's a bunch out right now, but it doesn't sound like they're going to make a great choice. But
yeah, there's a lot of.
they find
I
themselves
feel
in
like
a very tough spot.
I feel like you want to like what you're getting at is there's a lot of like there are people out there, right? Are they what the Leafs need? Probably not. But is there anybody that like I think at this point you just try anything.
It's change for the sake of change, which isn't a great, it's not a great philosophy, but it's also what we talked about, 2 wrongs making a right and that stuff. It's also goes to the idea of 2 things can be true. Brad Treliving might not be the best choice of the choices available. There's a world where maybe he does do things. Yeah. So, and there is a world where we talk all this crap about Brad Treliving and somehow, some way it works out. I don't think it's like a foregone conclusion that everything goes to shit if Treliving is coming in. And I also don't think it's a foregone conclusion that if like just the pick your coach comes in for the Leafs, that it goes to shit. It's just sitting here right now, I cannot sell myself on hope. That's where I'm at.
Here's the one thing I want to maybe leave with a little bit of optimism. Whoever's coming into that GM and head coaching role should realistically have, at the very least, 2 of the 4 of the key 4 guys. How many teams in the league right now probably have 2 or 3 guys at a level like Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, John Tavares? I would say maybe like
3.
Maybe there's only maybe I would say like there's teams with better standout players, like you know what I mean? Like either way, you're coming into this team with a good enough foundation that you should be making it, unless you oh god, I'm not even going to want to speak this into existence, unless you legitimately butcher every single decision that you make, which could happen because you know,
I honestly think that's the second, like that might be the second best scenario is losing them all. That honestly, like just to completely separate yourself from the core. Yeah, like, but not even gutting. It might just like we talked about the Jack Eichel trade in our chat of just you're getting a roster piece in, and all of a sudden it looks like Alex Tuck is he might not be Jack Eichel, but goddamn, he's good. If you make 3 or 4 of those trades, and maybe that's unrealistic, but just the absolute quantity of stuff you'd get back by trading the core is like you could have once again. This is a great throwback, but the potato runs the team instead of Dave Nonis and does a better job. You could have the potato make those trades, and like you might end up lucking into like just the quantity of draft picks and players might be enough to figure something out.
So here's the one thing I'd say to that. The only problem is they have to make that decision before July 1st, right?
Absolutely. They're on a very hard timeline here.
You have 5 weeks to make the decision if you want to completely alter the entire makeup of the Toronto Maple Leafs and potentially trade out 3 of the most, or maybe 4 of the most skilled players that the Toronto Maple Leafs have ever had, right?
So flip side to that, if they were to bring in a new coach, new GM, is that enough change to satisfy the fan base? Like if they were to run back the core, does having a coach and tinkering around the edges where you don't bring back Ryan O'Reilly and all of the free agent guys, is that enough to even allow you to consider
I'll be
a
honest,
holder that works?
I don't know because we did it once, right? We ran back this core under Keefe, right? After Babcock was axed. And we were getting the same results, except for this year.
I do think that team was flawed, though, right? Like the team that Keefe came in on, the worst Leaf team of the era.
Yeah, but so then he had another 3 kicks of the can too, right?
Yes.
Let's not forget that, right? I don't know. I really don't know.
Lots of I don't knows. We're throwing out so many I don't knows because nobody knows.
Nobody knows. The problem is, it's not that we don't know. It's that the guys who are being paid to make these decisions don't even know themselves, it feels like. Unless the Shanahan plan is legitimately real and there's a blueprint behind his desk, like he's some crazy supervillain at the top of 50 Bay Street, that tower. I don't know. I don't know where this team goes from here. I don't know.
Okay, so I have more Friedman tidbits from 32 Thoughts.
I think over the past 4 days or past week, I've genuinely been like, anytime Chris Johnston or Elliot Friedman tweet out something, I'm like, please put your phone.
You get a visceral feeling in your stomach.
Yeah.
You feel like,
I get a gut reaction, 100%.
Yeah. You get a bowel movement.
It comes up like nausea. Yeah.
Okay, so this is from I don't know. Dave's more familiar with the Twitter accounts than me, probably. This is from Berkey. I don't know who Berkey is, who he is amongst Leafs Twitter, but he's regurgitating some Friedman thoughts here. So forgive me if these aren't exact quotes because he doesn't put anything in exact quotations. So this could be just a rough idea of what's being said. But he says, Friedman confirms what many have suspected. The MLSE board gets involved in hockey-related decisions. I'm gonna have to go listen to Free Chat for this because if that's the case, that's a huge big deal. He says that Dubas's ask was to streamline that process. We don't know exactly what that means, but likely involved the form of greater autonomy from hockey ops, and this was the deal breaker for the board that sent him packing. I think that's just his speculation there. This is also from Friedman. So this goes to what I was saying earlier. Friedman says player and season interviews went poorly. Players are very blunt in their assessment of the team, and I've heard from other sources that the players are extremely unhappy with Dubas being fired. So are we now in a spot where there could be?
Well, I feel like there's of course, they're upset. He treated all of them like
royalty,
kings. Yeah.
When
you know what, maybe he shouldn't have. Maybe that's the biggest.
This is something.
Maybe that's
CJ
the biggest.
Brought this up.
Maybe that's the biggest fault and stain on Kyle Dubas's tenure. It's not signing Mitch Marner to maybe
or John
deal. Yeah, maybe like signing Mitch Marner to a deal that's maybe $2 million over his market value because he thought, the cap would rise by like 10 mil across the next 5 years after that. And it hasn't.
Yeah.
Or signing John Tavares thinking that the cap would rise by $10 million over the next 5 years, which
trading Nazem Kadri.
Trading that. None of those I think the the biggest stain on Kyle Dubas' reputation, I'll be honest with you, is treating his employees like his equals. Unfortunately, I know we live in a society
It's so
now.
terrible. Like it's
It is
such
awful
a
to say, but
yeah.
this is a corporation that you have to run. When has Walmart ever reached out to one of their cashiers in the middle of, I don't know, Oakville, Ontario, and been like, hey, you're doing a great job? When has John Walmart ever reached out and said that to one of his cashiers? Probably never, right?
Does if you work at Walmart and I don't know, you God forbid you're in a workplace accident, you lacerate your wrist and you gotta go to the hospital. Does your boss from Walmart show up and stay with you for the
Not
night
even the
like Kyle
boss.
Dubas does with Ilya Mikheyev? Yeah, your manager, your shift
Does the
manager.
supervising or like the regional manager for
Yeah, true,
whatever, does he
exactly.
come down and like drive you to the hospital personally?
Yeah,
And that's, I don't know, because we had stories like that, right? Like he personally
it's Ilya
went
Mikheyev
to
story.
visit Ilya Mikheyev in the hospital. It is stuff like that that made Kyle Dubas seem more than just a GM to most people. And I understand. But I don't know if that type of
It's not conducive to success.
I don't know if it's conducive to success, exactly. As awful as that is to
It's
say.
so it's so tough for him because I'm also like, as the NHL is going on right now, we have the NBA, and the staple of like how to run a team, how a team coalesces, all this stuff is heat culture. It's a damn trademark term, basically. Okay, heat culture. Eric Spoelstra doesn't strike me as like the type of guy to like he seems like a player's coach. He is the Rod Brindamore, right? You can somehow be a player's coach and demand something from your players, and they have to strive for it. And if they goddamn don't give it to you, there's goddamn consequence.
You know,
That's what we were missing.
who's
And there is a
another
world where you have both.
another to that sentiment. Does Greg Popovich strike you as a guy to, nurse your
Yeah.
injured shoulder back to health? Like,
Mhm.
I don't think so,
Mhm.
right? For him, it's his job. It's the next man up.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kawhi, your ankle's busted in the conference finals where we could maybe win another championship. All right. I don't know who was on the bench at the time. I'm gonna assume it was Danny Green or somebody. All right, Danny, you're up. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, you've got a thing, right? And you
Yeah.
know what the thing is for the both of them, Eric Spoelstra and Greg Popovich have multiple, not one, not two, more than 3 championships since 1990, let's say 95, whatever. I think
Yeah.
Greg
With multiple
Popovich is,
different cores too.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know who the Spoelstra or the Greg Pop is of the NHL. Probably the closest
Oh,
example is Cooper.
I'd say
I think
Greg
it's
Pop
Cooper.
is Lindy Ruff.
Is
But
Lindy
with
Ruff
all the
one? I don't
success.
exactly. Yeah. So I think
It's
Yeah.
Cooper's the
coming.
only one. I think Cooper's the only one I can point to. I don't
think
even
I
know
just
what
made that
really-
comparison because they're both old.
Yeah,
So
scraggly hair, old.
they
I
literally
don't know.
look the exact same.
So the one thing I don't know if there was ever fire pop chance. That's
There
maybe
was. There was.
really
So
okay.
here's
enough.
another story. I got another story
Sure.
for you guys. The San Antonio Spurs in the 90s were a pretty poorly run organization. They had one of the greatest centers in NBA history in the Admiral David Robinson.
I was gonna ask who his nickname was because I forgot it was the
They
Admiral. It's a great nickname.
They couldn't get anything going. Greg Popovich turned to this young, unproven talent in Tim Duncan to be the eventual successor
The
of
protege.
Yeah. But the first, I would say, I think it's like first 5 years of Greg Popovich's career, many labeled him as, because they didn't have any success. They didn't start having success until, the pieces started coming through. It was the end of David Robinson coming off the bench. Then they brought in Tim Duncan. They brought
They
in
were
Manu
10 years
Ginobili.
apart, right?
Yeah. They brought in Manu
Yeah.
Ginobili. They brought in Tony Parker. I don't know if there's any other pieces I'm missing, but those 3 guys alone won them, I think it's like 5 titles in like 15 years or something like that, which is crazy. But there was doubt with Greg Popovich. He was an unknown quantity. He was a great basketball mind. I don't even know if he had. I'm pretty sure he was assisting somewhere else before he got the head coaching job. I saw this all in a video like a few months ago. Don't ask me like word for word verbatim what it was because I won't be able to tell you. But those are like spark notes for like Greg Popovich, and now we consider Greg Popovich as being, he's in the top 3 all time best NBA coaches. Like maybe
He might be
maybe
one.
he might be one. There's
Yeah.
there's arguments for other people, but he was the unknown commodity who started life pretty rough in San Antonio.
So is that the type of coach we got to hang our coat on as a possibility in Toronto? Because
I don't
we
even
don't
know
have
if
we don't
I
have
don't
we
know
don't
if we
have 5
can.
years for him to figure it out.
I don't
There's
know
no
if we
5.
can.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can.
Maybe in 2027 there can be a Greg Pop for the Leafs, but right now, yeah, we're in a very rough spot to figure out who the hell is coaching this team, who the hell is GMing this team, all
So
this stuff.
so something that we know isn't happen is a trade you guys have alluded to many times. Let's take a quick little chill session, and I have a list of
Oh God.
I'm sure GM trades. Some of them
Call
are
it a chill
awful,
session?
some of them are okay. And we're gonna play a game. I'm gonna go through them. Do you guys say yes or no? So
No to all of them already. I already know like some of the trades you're gonna say.
they're
unless it's
they're pretty
unless it's
bad.
like unless it's
This
Zach
is the ones I
Aston Reese for
sent in the
Connor
chat.
McDavid.
So
Yeah.
so I the way we're gonna do this is like salary cap's not a thing. Actually, no. So we'll do salary cap is a thing, but no movement clauses and stuff like that are like
Okay.
voided. Like everything's
Yeah, well,
So this is
all you have to
after
say is these trades are done before July 1st. That's
yes.
these are
that's
all
what you
done
just say.
June 30th. These are
Okay.
all made.
Sure.
So the first one is going to Chicago. Matt Murray,
Okay.
William Nylander, and a Boston first round pick for Colton Dock and a second round pick.
Hell no! What the hell?
Okay.
That sucks, man. Bro, Colton Dock isn't even as good as his brother. That is terrible.
What's that? A cap dump?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Nylander the first with the cap dump.
William Nylander cap dump.
Yeah, awesome. It'd be great to have a cap dump in a year where the free agents are like ridiculously good.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. This one's a
Okay.
little bit better. I actually think that you consider this one. John Tavares in exchange for Barkley Goodrow and Alexis Lafreniere.
Yeah, you do that in a heartbeat, probably. You're getting Lafreniere, who makes like he's an RFA, like he's getting like 2 mil, and then once, like Dave said, I know the UFA crop isn't good, but you can go and sign 3 guys for 3 million. You can sign an entire third line if you wanted to.
Well,
Nothing against Tavares, but
that
this is
extra
also
money,
unrealistic.
that extra money just like
Pays for
at
its,
that
like
point,
it's
it pays for the guys that you
you're
want.
automatically a better team.
You can use
So
it for
here's-
Nylander next year.
I know, yeah, exactly. I know, and I know you said we're gonna do this in a world where there's no salary cap and there's no new movement clauses, but those are the exact 2 reasons why that trade never happens. Tavares, we
Yes.
know, is I think the only world where Tavares goes is if at least 2 of the core 4 are traded before him. That might be the only thing to sway his mind, to be honest. So there's that reason, and there's also the reason that makes 0 sense for the Rangers financially because they are cap strapped. So
Here's the one
those are the
thing
problems there.
I want to say to that point, though, Christian. I don't think
Sure.
JT waives it at all.
You think there's
The
no
guy-
world?
The guy just had a kid like a month ago. To
Yeah,
uproot
yeah.
that whole family again, what is it?
Sure.
5 years after. This was always going to be John Tavares's final spot unless, by his age 37 season, he wants to make one more run with the, I don't know, New York Islanders, maybe look like the hero one more time in New York.
Wearing
On
an
Long
S on
Island.
his jersey for Snake.
It's for Snake. Yeah, he's not wearing the C or the A.
No.
He's wearing an F for fucker. Get up here. But I don't see a world where John Tavares waives his no move clause and also gets traded. I think there's 2 separate factors. You know what? I don't even want to disrespect John Tavares because I think he still has some trade value. His
Yes,
salary,
no, I don't.
yeah,
But I think the world where there's a John Tavares trade is for another guy who's also making double digits, who's also in his 30s. Like it's one of those type of
Artemi
trades.
Panarin, basically.
I don't know if the Rangers would do that because like Panarin
that's
is
what
way
I mean,
better, right? Like it was like the ones that we've heard and Brian was talking about one that was brought up is like Doughty. But the thing with Doughty is he signed for like eternity, and Tavares is done in 2 years. So that the cap flexibility for the Leafs of not having $11 million on the books in 2 years is more valuable than having Doughty on an aging contract, making 11 million when he's 35. That's the one thing with Tavares' contract. We won't have him when he's 37. He's going to be done in 2 years, which
Yeah.
isn't that long. It's 2 more seasons.
Here's
Little
the
on his
thing.
Rob is
Two
Carlson.
more
Same
seasons.
exact scenario. Same
I
exact
think
scenario.
I think in 2 more years, if he takes a 2-year,
He would literally have to get cut in half,
I
and
think
that's
even
with
less
a
than
rising
half.
cap. Yeah,
I
this
think
is
like
with a
$4
rising
million
cap.
dollars across 2, or sorry, what is it? 8
3
over
years,
2
4 by
years.
3 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, that's where you entertain it, unless he throws up 40 goals somehow. But like that's the only world. So okay, Brian, you got more?
Okay,
You have more trades?
I have a couple more.
Okay.
William Nylander to Seattle in exchange for Seattle's first overall pick.
They
First
don't
round,
have
sorry,
first overall.
sorry,
Yeah,
first round pick,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
Olivier
Okay.
Brookstrand.
Okay, so from Seattle's perspective, I don't think they trade Oliver Bjorkstrand. They're picking probably in the 20s. I don't really think it makes sense for either team, to be honest. I think this one is just kind of I think both teams are better off keeping what they're giving up. That's my
Okay.
take.
So the next one's to New Jersey. Mitch Marner and Joseph Wool in exchange for Dawson Mercer, Igor Shanovanovic, Vitek Vanacek, and a second round pick.
Oh fuck, that's a lot.
So we're
No.
gonna reunite Sammy and Vanacek. This is on the
Yes.
assumption that Sammy resigns in Toronto.
Yes.
I saw that story, that play happen one time. I think I'm good. I'll be honest
Yeah.
with you.
I can warn you on that
The
one.
problem is
I have more trust in Joe Wall right now, honestly, than Vitek Vanacek.
Jersey. So the thing with the Marner trades is you have to trade Marner to a team that doesn't already have Mitch Marner. So like
And
the
they have two.
Rangers, I know we didn't talk about Marner to the Rangers, but I've seen it before. Like Marner to the Rangers doesn't make sense because they have Mitch Marner. His name is Artemi Panarin. Marner to the Devils doesn't make sense. They have Mitch Marner. His name is Jack Hughes. If you want to say the Islanders, they have Mitch Marner. His name is Matt Barzal. So you got to find a team that has an absolute sniper that needs Mitch Marner. That's the fit.
You know who could have
And
used
Jersey's not giving up Dawson Mercer. I would buy a Dawson Mercer jersey in -5 milliseconds if he was a Leaf, but yeah, it's not happening.
you know who could have used Mitch Marner maybe 12 months ago?
Austin Matthews?
The Florida
okay.
Panthers.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a good
Right,
one. But
if you're getting
okay,
rid of
but it just wasn't a reality that we were thinking about trading
No, it
Marner.
wasn't. It wasn't.
And we don't even know if would they have been interested? I'm sure they would have, but
Yeah.
the
Anytime
thing with
Leafs are
Marner trades
offering-
too. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Anytime the Leafs are offering, if they ever, like 12 months ago, they never made it clear up until I think legitimately this past month, like after they lost, that everything's on the table right now, right?
Yeah.
There was always that air of everything's on the table except for Tavares, Marner, Matthews, Nylander, and probably Riley as well. So they always had that about them, but I think now, in hindsight, 100%. Like there was no scenario where the only way that and I don't even think that trade goes through. You know why? Because you have Brendan Shanahan ixnaying certain trades, and who wants to get rid of the London Knights product, the Ontario-born kid, like the guy that grew up a Leaf fan, right? He's the fan favorite player. Him and
He's
and
the
Matthews,
hometown kid. Yeah.
him and Austin Matthews, wrangle for
It's probably
that
60-40 in jersey sales. Whatever.
64 Marner or Matthews.
Probably Matthews.
But
yeah.
I think it's even less. I think it's like 55-45. I think it's like maybe a little bit closer skewing to the hometown kid, but
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Last thing I've got here, just on the topic of Nylander and Marner trades, because I don't think the Tavares trade is happening. Matthews up in the air, which is crazy because we felt like totally resigned to the fact that he was going to resign a week ago after his his exit quotes. So I don't know if there's going to be a world where we win a Marner trade for the reason that he is in the worst possible spot value-wise because he has a two years left on his deal. which means if you're trading him to a team, there is no guarantee he resigns. You cannot resign him until a year from now. I think we've seen that a lot of things can change in 12 months on a team. And there is totally a world where you trade Mitch Marner to exactly. Yeah. You could trade Mitch Marner to a team. They absolutely like bottom out. They finish like bottom 5 in the league. And then Mitch Marner says he will not be resigned. And then you're having to trade him for even less. So I think Marner's in a very weird spot with the 2 years left on his deal from the Leafs perspective, having to trade him. I think the best you're going to be able to do in a Marner trade is coming out even. And you're going to have to find a team that matches who they're giving up on their term. So you got to be targeting guys who have 2 or 3 years left on their contracts as well. I think that's going to be the only world where another team says, yeah, we'll take a chance on Mitch Marner for 2 years, not knowing he'll resign. That's why the William Nylander thing is going to be very interesting, because you can talk to a team about resigning him. That's what scares me though, because I want the Marner trade, not the Nylander trade. Just something to think about as we're gonna enter silly season, and especially going up to the draft. If we don't have answers yet on this stuff, like a Matthews contract, all this stuff, it is going to be absolute silly season at the draft, talking about trades and stuff. I think that's all the Leaf thoughts I have right now.
I have one last blockbuster move.
Oh God.
It's probably a no. Actually, all of them are no's, but this is to Colorado. Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews, in exchange for Mikko Rantanen, Alex Newhook, and Bowen Byram.
Dude, y'all, I mean, because if you're saying you got to change the core, and this is assuming Matthews is resigning, you probably
do it.
You probably maybe do it. The worst piece there is Newhook. I'm a Newhook fan, and I still don't think he might be a low level second line center is what he might turn out as, to be honest. I don't know. They tried him in the 2-hole this year, and he got bumped out by JT Compher. He's young. The other two pieces are dynamite. Mikko Rantanen is dynamite, and Bowen Byram. Bowen Byram is dynamite as long as he's healthy. That's the concern there. I think on Colorado, we've heard like Nylander. Jeff Merrick brought it up. I don't know if it was based on anything. He said Nylander to Colorado makes sense. If you're doing like a Nylander for Devon Toews swap, and I'm still only doing that if you're also doing a Marner trade, because Nylander's really good. Devon Toews is the guy that I target on Colorado. I don't think they're trading Mikko Rantanen.
No. Hypothetically.
Probably not even Devon Toews, but yeah.
Yeah. Armchair GM,
Armchair GM, exactly. Okay. This is no judgment. You came up with these? Were these from Cap Friendly? Were these from Twitter?
I went on Armchair GM and I went through
this is what I figured.
I went through every single like the first saw that I went through like all the ones that involved Leafs, and then they had to have had one of the big 4, and then I just picked them.
Dude,
did you see any where you were like, I can't even show this?
Dave, these are the first 5 I saw.
Oh my God. So listen. As someone who, and these guys know, I'm always sending like Cap Friendly stuff, especially like around the trade deadline. I was sending them all the time, and you're going to get some more at free agency and draft. From browsing Cap Friendly, and if I'm looking for either inspiration or validity for my ideas, you do not look at the Leaf, because you can sort by team. So you can sort by like is it a Leaf fan making the roster or whatever team. You do not look at the Leafs, because they are terrible trades. They're either totally in the Leafs' favor, or they're totally in the other team's favor. Like they don't know what the hell value is. They've never heard of it. It's
like Zach Aston Reese for Connor McDavid, or
Connor McDavid
for I don't know,
Nick Bjugstad. Yes, our favorite. So yes, this is what you do instead. And it takes a lot longer, boys. You go through every other goddamn team and try to find the trades that involve the Leafs. That's how you do it. That's how you find validity, because it tells you from the other team's perspective if the trade makes sense for them. That's what I do. Yeah. Cap Friendly. I'll be on there for multiple hours, probably every day.
Oh, it's great, but obviously some of it's not that great. Anyway.
Shout out to all the armchair GMs there.
Anything else you guys want to say or bring up before we close it?
I've never been so worried about the Leafs in probably my entire life, because as a child you have blind optimism.
Wishful ignorance.
Yeah, wishful ignorance. Yeah, Tim Connolly can be the one center, sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
Joffrey Lupul, he won't be injured. I know he's been injured everywhere else, but he'll figure it out here. Yeah, Mike Commissaric from the Habs. Yeah, he'll figure it out here. Yeah,
Is
Jonathan
Nazem
Bernier.
Kadri our top
Yeah,
line center?
yeah. Jonathan Bernier thinks Nelson Mandela is a hockey player, but he's actually like Jonathan Bernier is okay at hockey. Like just running through it all. As a kid, you can convince yourself, but it is
as a
dreary
weathered
times.
as a
Yeah.
weathered 22, 23-year-old man. Yeah.
I'm an absolute man.
I'm a man.
I'm basically the William Nylander haters in the sunglasses on the highway in their Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me go get my pit bosses. The Pit
So,
Vipers.
yeah, I don't know what the hell this goddamn team's gonna do, but I am still very excited to find out what it is. And we all know we'll be right back here in September,
Yeah.
just as hopelessly optimistic. But in this moment, I am just scared. That is it.
Dude, I'm in complete agreement with you, Christian. I think I'm in the boat of I'm terrified for the change of this organization because I know that it's in them just to screw everything up. But I also wouldn't mind seeing like I'm kind of excited to see what direction they plan to go in. I think the only direction I wouldn't actually be happy with is if they ran it back another season. I don't think that there's a world where I think it's been proven, right? Like we said to ourselves, like, how many times can you run it back? I think now, like, you can't run it back. They put themselves in the position to not be able to run it back. And I know it's like change for the sake of change, and that's probably not good in hindsight, but
we know what we're doing right now isn't working, like you said.
yeah, 100%. It's clearly
Yeah.
not working right now. So change.
Look at
has to
Florida.
be
Florida
made.
threw shit at the wall and it's working.
Yeah. Something is sticking. 100%.
Yeah.
I don't know. Pain. That's the only thought I have is
It's
just
a common theme. I will say, Dave, like we've seen some crazy stuff this season, Leafs wise. We've seen it all. We've seen early season blunder where it was like trade them all, what the hell, fire the coach. We did that. We then we had a blockbuster trade.
I was gonna say before that we went on a big win streak right after that.
We saw records. We saw Mitch Marner set a franchise record for point streak. We saw a trade deadline where we've made the biggest moves in the era's history, right? Like in the 7-year Dubas era, he has never traded for someone as good as Ryan O'Reilly. But then we saw him go crazy and make like 4 other trades. We saw the first time the Leafs get out of the second round that we can remember, that we were having a developed conscious and can actually form memories around this now. And we also saw the end of an era and the changing of a GM. This is that by far the most eventful season of Leafs hockey that we've probably watched. And kudos to us that it was our first season doing this. Holy crap.
Man.
Yeah, it's been a long ride. So we'll probably
there's actual hockey being played still.
Yes.
We're still not at that end of the line yet.
True.
I think there's still probably a couple more episodes. At least I would say 2 more episodes in us. Like at the minimum.
Before the draft.
And we're gonna we'll do a free agency wrap up. That'll be the last one probably.
I don't know. Maybe the next time we do one of these things, it's probably for the Stanley Cup
champion.
Now for the champion, I would say maybe a
final.
Like for the final
preview.
And then after that, it's probably whoever the champion is then looking into the off season. So I'd say we probably got at least 2 more episodes in us before, we really get. Man, if everything's going the way that it should, that episode right after the cup is handed out might be the most explosive episode we're gonna put out this year, maybe in the history of however long this podcast is gonna run for. Like, who knows, right?
It's very true because listen, there's only 2 options here. We'll have answers or we won't have answers, and no matter what, we'll be talking about it. It's right. We'll either be pent up anger about how the hell has nothing happened yet, or talking about what did happen. So
it's ungodly pessimism or optimism. Either way, you're getting unism, basically.
Ungodly isms.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Ryan, where can you get a jersey that says ungodly ism on the back of it?
NHLshop.ca. You can also get Mark Scheifele jerseys, which are on clearance right now for like $50 or something like that.
That's a steal.
Which ones are they selling? Are
they selling like the classic? Dude, They
It's probably just
better
a home
Mahomes.
and away.
they
Yeah.
better when
They're gonna make
when
their
Fanatics
change
take
next year.
over, they better switch to those alternates
Full
as
retro.
the full-time, yeah,
Yes.
Full retro.
full-time jersey, dude.
Calgary did it, and they are now like top 3 kits in the league. If Winnipeg does it, they're right there with them.
Yes,
I
I
mean,
agree. Shout out to Razor and also Football TV. You can watch the rest of the Stanley Cup playoffs. They have every single game from this point on because there's like no games. But anyway, yeah, we'll be back soon. Shout out to Dave's TikToks. Shout out to my articles. The articles coming out soon. TikToks coming out soon. We will end it there, and yeah, that's a lot of uncertainty, but we'll see what happens next time.